call this meeting to order. Make a motion to go ahead and approve the minutes from 4/22/26.
So moved.
Any changes or corrections? All those in favor signify by saying yea.
Aye.
Motion carried, meeting minutes approved. Billing service updates.
All right, provided all of you the same printout from the last meeting that we all decided that we liked. Condenses the information, it's got the pie chart on there for you, shows you our current charges are at $35,627.67. Then it breaks down what's 31 to 60 days outstanding, 61 to 90, 91 to 120, 121 to 180, and over 180. Again, those are what would end up in collections. So the total billing accounts receivable at this point in time are $91,272.05. Questions about any of that?
I'm good.
Okay. They continued to send us their breakdowns each month. We get a spreadsheet saying, are these calls that you want to send to collections? So that way we can determine whether or not it is something to go to collections. Or I think we had the one instance where one person had passed away and we said, no, don't send that to collections.
Is there amount collected year to date?
Chad, do you want to see if you can find that while we're sitting here?
Yep, I can.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, that'll be I know we've been billed for collection fees, so I know monies have been collected, I'm just not positive.
Year to date this year
Do you want year to date this year or since
January 1 through.
January 1?
for billing.
Collections,
How much we?
Like what-
Collection of everything.
Just collection.
like just collections.
Just get assigned to the revenue.
Okay. All right. Anything else in billing service update?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the response.
Chad is going to try to look it up while we're sitting
Oh, I
here
see.
to see if he
Okay,
can
sorry.
pull that report.
Thank you.
It's not always the easiest to navigate that site and look for reports, which is why I'm deferring to him. Hopefully he can find it. If he can't, then I'll get back to you all on
the
that.
dashboard, it says year-to-date net collections 45,511, but
That's not
that's
like,
a fiscal year.
yeah, and those are the that's not files that have been sent to specific collections. So I think it would be under reports somewhere.
Waiting for it to switch. screens.
All right. Employee update.
Today was Katie's first day. So we've got 4 full-time people. And she's been part-time, so I don't see any issues there. We talked about some things moving forward, some information she needed.
Getting her set up on perf and
Yeah.
HSA and all of that's in motion.
One of the questions that we need to discuss at some point in time, and it doesn't have to be tonight, is how do we want to handle a clothing allowance? Do we need to just provide the uniforms that they need? Do we want to start something for $500, $750 a year clothing allowance
Only for the full-time.
for the full-time people? I don't know what the right answer is there. Anything that's bought on a clothing allowance, at least in my experience, in the police world, was owned by the department still. Unless obviously undergarments, long johns, things like that they had. But there's not a clothing allowance currently in our policy, so that's something we're gonna have to look at maybe for the budget year.
Does it make sense to put a set dollar amount for somebody new when you bring them in and then go to like quarterly after that?
Well, I feel that we need to provide everything for them to start.
Right.
And so we would just provide that out of our equipment fund or our clothing fund that we have out of the budget. And then what are we going to allow them each year
Moving forward.
moving forward to maintain that equipment? So I think we had shirts left that we had ordered already and had on hand for Katie, and she already owned all of her boots and pants for EMS stuff. So we're set, she's good for now, but that's just going to be a reoccurring year. If we want the folks to look professional, we're gonna have to provide that stuff or give them the funding to provide it. So right now, we're fine, everybody's good, but for the future. I have 3 applicants that I've scheduled, actually 2 applicants that I've scheduled to interview and physical agility test on the 28th. I was waiting on a 3rd applicant and didn't think that person was going to submit one, and it came in the mail today. Somebody actually does still use the old-fashioned mail. So I have 3 applicants for the last 2 positions. I'm hoping to set the last interview up on the 28th as well. So if we could potentially look at maybe a meeting the end of the first week of June sometime.
There you go.
Okay, that helps.
Now they can see you.
Assuming at least 1, if not 2 of the 3 are quality applicants. They look reasonable with their applications that I've seen in the last, that I've looked at anyway. So I don't know if you guys want to discuss a potential meeting date for the first week of June, the end of the first week maybe, or the beginning of the second week. The only reason I'm looking at those dates is because I'm hoping to be at full staff by July 1st. So if we get them hired, give them time to give a 2 or 3 week notice, however their schedule works, then that's my goal.
It looks like we're gonna be moving our meetings back to the second Tuesday, or Thursday of the month. And so I think any days but that would work. We'll do the second week of June.
Monday or Tuesday? Or not Monday? As our
So
normal meetings are?
we've got a few on Wednesdays too. So it would be Monday, June 8th. Does that work for everyone's calendar? And I would say that one we would do 5 o'clock,
5 o'clock interviews,
and then the meetings
territory
to start
meeting
at
at 6, and then
Township, it's immediately following is the way I've been advertising it, either 7 o'clock or immediately following the territory meeting.
Okay, so 5 o'clock interview. All right, that works.
And that'll be a tentative date. Obviously, if our interviews go well and we have a couple applicants to send to you guys, Emily will email you and schedule that officially, but
Pencil it in for now.
yeah. I think that's it.
We have not funded that report.
No? Okay. I'll reach out to EMSMC and see if it's something that,
I
Can just be-
find it, debit write-off one, but as far as.
next we'll, okay.
The
No problem.
last one I got was 317.
So I'd like to come in and start putting information about our paid people, not only just our paid people, to start off with the paid people on the board up front. So, what information you like, age, hobbies, whatever, just something. We want to put something on Facebook with their pictures so they know what they look like, but we can't put pictures on the board because
Right.
it just does graphics. So we'd like to get that out there so the public's like, okay, yep, I know who's coming to my house, or these are our paid people. And like I said, then we'll go ahead and put it on our page to, get more information, and just whatever information you provide to us, we won't
Okay.
clutter it up or anything.
There's a lot of departments that are doing that.
Okay.
Remind me what the times were on June 8th.
5 o'clock for the interviews, 6 o'clock for the territory meeting, and maybe 6:30 for the township. It'll be immediately following the territory meeting.
Thank you.
All right, preliminary budget discussions.
I'll let you.
So Emily and I had talked about this, and then Chad and I discussed some of the changes. I don't know if you put any of did you put any of these copies? I guess we have a couple left.
Oh, yeah, and actually, let me put it up on the screen here. I
Um,
got it ready to do that. Sorry, Chad.
The black numbers are the new numbers that we propose, and the red ones are to tell what the change was from the current year's budget.
I wonder if that has to be a separate report.
So obviously the salaries that we changed to get those up to where, obviously, we were effective because we've got some applicants at that pay rate. So likewise, we had to increase the insurance and the perf. The administrative compensation, we left the same. Overtime, I decreased by 5,000. Part-time, we've obviously decreased by 10,000 because as we have full-time people, we're gonna use less part-time to cover those shifts. We will still have some part-time coverage and overtime with vacation and training and things like that, but significantly less than originally proposed. The volunteer firefighters and volunteer officers, we left the same. The part-time taxes, we increased. And so that changed the total personal services line to an additional 36,450.
So are those numbers based on 2 more people or just current?
No, that is to be at 6 full-time.
At the 6
Yep.
okay, thank you.
And then moving on down to supplies, one of them we've questioned a little was the fuel, not knowing if that cost is gonna stay as high as it currently is.
Right now, we're running okay,
Yeah.
but if this keeps up, we're going to
So,
quickly burn through more of that budget line. So,
Station maintenance, medical supplies is kind of an unknown. I think that's probably going to be sufficient, but if not, we'll have to move some money around a little bit towards the end of the year, barring call numbers and types of calls. Clothing and gear, we left the same. Communication, I decreased 15,000. I am on the agenda for the commissioners meeting on the 1st to ask them about the $50,000 public safety grant for radio equipment. I've got 20 portables budgeted or quoted at about
55, 56?
55 or $6,000. So we'll have a little money in that, but, so hopefully 20 portables is gonna last us for quite some time. So I lowered that 15,000. So the supplies in total is 94,000 and that's 15,000 under
The
last, or the
26 budget.
current year's budget. The other services and charges, the maintenance contracts, since we paid all of those up front with the monitors,
And the Lucas
the
devices.
cots, and
The Lucas.
the Lucas devices.
The only thing we don't have covered on that is the chairs.
So we don't have a lot left, like
Not a lot.
the air compressor that we have for the fill station for the breathing air, that's quarterly tested per NFPA standards, so that's a contract. We have a contract with, I'm assuming it's gonna stay Banner Electric, with that changing hands, but for the
And the pest
power
control. We
Huh?
have a pest control
and the pest
contract as well.
control. So we're gonna have less maintenance contracts for the next couple years at least. So we decreased that. The insurance, we increased, with cost of everything going up, plus adding more.
I'll touch on that when we,
Okay.
yeah. That'll be in my trustee update.
Okay.
Utilities, we increased 4,000, not knowing exactly how that's gonna work out, and then going to 24 coverage. Could expand that a little.
Utilities, we're running pretty tight this year against the budget, so it'll give us a little more cushion.
And everything else below that stayed the same, except an added line for the professional fees for EMS/MC.
So
And that's-
we did not have a line budgeted for that this year, so I've been paying it out of the township general fund from the other fire line item that we have in there. But I think it would be appropriate for it to have its own category.
So the total for the other services and charges is up 19.5 from this year's budget, for a total increase of 40,950. A 5.01% increase from the 26 budget. As Emily and I discussed some of the numbers, we were not sure what to do, but we felt that it was better to keep the property taxes at a little lower rate, and if we have to do an additional appropriation at the end of the year, to do that for a piece of equipment, or if something happens significant.
Like I said before, it's, you guys are making great strides, you know, I didn't think we would be to 4 people by this time, and now if you got 2 more potential in there, you know, you're doing a good job on budgeting and thinking things through, so I definitely appreciate that.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So, I do hear what you're saying about the fuel. I mean, we really don't know
Yeah.
what it's gonna be like. I note that even with the higher price of fuel, we're only at 17% of the expense this year. And my understanding is one of the factors is the damage that was done to a refinery down south that impacted the price of diesel. And
The Whiting was first, and then that one hit us after Whiting.
oh yeah, and so I mean, I think we're in for a while for higher fuel costs, but I think, in my opinion, I think we could probably go lower than that. I'm not throwing out numbers now, this is a preliminary discussion, but
So what I will say is that for the first several months of the year, we were absolutely running on budget. But last month and this month, both, I've had to go on and make an extra payment because we've been running up against our credit limit because of the costs. So I think we're going to quickly see that number escalate.
Which is $1,300 a month for fuel. That's the credit limit, and if we're
We're coming up
bumping
against that's gonna eat that line item,
okay.
so.
I'd like to see how that plays out in the next 30 days or so and see how that goes. It looks like medical supplies is only at 10% of the year's budget.
Give it 3 or 4 more days and it will not. Because we have been purchasing the supplies to move to an advanced status.
Okay.
So I believe I have, what, 8,000 at least?
You got like 11,500.
Sitting in my office waiting to be paid.
And that's, most of that is, well, more than half of that is a one-time cost.
Correct.
Now, there'll be some stuff to maintain, but not knowing how that plays out. And we also acquired some leftover equipment that was here. And so, once we have to start purchasing our own stuff, I don't know how that's going to play out. And at one point I had mentioned if we run short there, we've got the clothing and gear, but at about almost $7,000 per firefighter, that I've got 3 firefighters to purchase gear for. Or 1 currently and gonna hopefully hire 2 more. So, I don't wanna cut my clothing and gear short and have to move that money to,
No, because that's
medical
still in the
supplies.
process of, there are still a lot of people with older gear.
yeah, we're not doing too bad, but yeah, I don't know. This medical equipment is kind of a new field for us.
But, yeah, that sounds reasonable to me, so I have no quarrel with the 18 for medical supplies, that sounds okay to me. And so, small equipment, is that?
Anything smaller than a fire truck.
And so, would that be the communication equipment that you're talking about?
That's its own
No.
separate line item.
Up in supplies, there's a $10,000
Okay, all right.
for communication equipment.
Do we have, I know things break down periodically, but do we know, do we expect any expenses under that line item this year?
Under which one?
Small equipment.
Small equipment?
Yes.
And what would that be?
Well, 2 of the items we just purchased potentially could go under that, which is $2,000. So anything small equipment like the IO drills for advanced, if one of them breaks, that's a minimum of $800.
Okay,
Our powered suction units for the ambulance, if the portable one of them goes out, that's $1,500 by itself. our equipment bag, if they get ripped up or start getting bad, that's gotta be replaced. They're about $400 or $500 a piece.
Okay.
So it's a lot of that stuff, but I know we just replaced one bag for $360.
Okay.
Anything from an $800 nozzle to fire hose that is anywhere from $200 to $300 for a 50-foot roll. Extrication equipment,
Ladders,
ladders, axes,
scene lights.
so
Do we have any, I don't need you to go back and look, do you have any guess as to how much we spent on small equipment last year?
I can tell you, it won't take long to pull it up.
Well, it's budgeted the same amount though, right?
yes, we didn't change it from last year.
So, I mean, I think the same budget as last year, so.
I'm not on the right screen, there we go. Category. We had, we did appropriations out of that line. No, we didn't. This was because of the SCBA's. We spent the entire budget and then some last year. We did an appropriation. So last year we spent $95,896 out of small equipment,
I wonder if that was related to the
the SCBA purchases.
CBH, right?
Yes, from the community grant. So that was $50,000. So you figure we spent $45,896 without the community grant.
I think that, from what I'm hearing, I think that could be lowered, in my opinion.
So, I'll throw this out there, so if you lower it for budget purposes, that lowers it for tax purposes, and if you exceed that, you know, we haven't exceeded our budget
Correct.
yet. And if there's money that's left over at the end of the year, that goes to reduce taxes the following year. And we're looking at a 5% increase for the entire year based upon this.
And that's the budget is a 5% increase. So that doesn't mean the rate is going to increase that much.
Right. So, you know, I mean, you could shave off nickels and dimes and stuff like that, but I think that, you know, if you look at the whole number, 5% with inflation and everything else involved, you know, with normal replacement of equipment, like last year we replaced that fan.
Correct.
Exhaust fan,
Yes.
bought one.
Yeah.
And there was a couple other pieces of the small equipment that we bought, and
Portable scene lights,
yeah, right. So, you know, I mean, you know, you could shave this back to make it look, you know, powder perfect, but, you know, we need to have enough sufficient funds in there so, you know, we don't diminish the total that we have.
No, because I would prefer for us to, rather than shooting high, I mean, the whole point here, Steve, was we were trying not to shoot high on the numbers and say, okay, if we need to do an additional appropriation, then that's what we'll do. Because we're not increasing people's property taxes by doing the additional appropriation. So if we trim the fat as much as we possibly can on this, then we're going to start depleting that excess that we're sitting on that allows us to be able to do the additional appropriations and try to keep people's property taxes lower for as long as we can feasibly manage.
So, there's two schools of thought there. I mean, you know, if you wanna get down to the brass tacks, I guess you can, but then knowing that you may have, you know, unforeseen expenditure and not have enough money available if you get too much trimmed out.
Like fuel.
Right.
But, you know, and if we were 10 years into this, we would have a lot better handle on it. You know, you can only predict so much, you know, being relatively new, you know, but it's, like you said, 5% increases. You're not hitting people's property taxes 5% more. So it's, you know, a $40,000 figure, you know, in a $858,000 budget.
40,000,
Yeah,
47,000.
I do have one other question, and, so as we utilize, our employees more, I have to wonder, whether the contract with the volunteer fire department, should be looked at in the amount that we pay in that. I do understand that they respond, and we appreciate their response. But I'm here to, I'm sorry, but I feel like I need to ask tough questions. So if our employees are answering those calls and we're reducing the amount of overall time that the volunteers are responding to, then is it appropriate to look at reducing the amount that is paid for volunteer compensation?
You want my resignation today or tomorrow? Because you're gonna double your budget to replace those volunteers with full-time staff.
Because the volunteers are still responding.
Yeah, so,
And
I mean, and
they're
overtime-
they're dwindling.
Overtime and part-time, it's reduced 15,000 there. So, there is a decrease there that was planned due to full-time employees. And if you come in and start reducing what level of compensation, I mean, when I was on, I think it worked out to about $28 a call is what you got if you was lucky.
Oh, gosh, I mean, it was $4 a couple
Yeah, I
years
can
ago,
remember when it was
$4 a
$3 and
call.
$4 when I got on the fire department.
Yeah.
We've got it up to
Well,
about
I mean,
10 now.
I'm sorry, a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's $28 in a month is what you made for coming to classes, to trainings, and the calls, and work details, I mean.
So Chad and I had the exact same discussion, not knowing we were gonna have the exact same discussion. When I was talked into lowering my part-time budget, I was wanting to approach you guys mid through the year. If we haven't used that part-time budget, can I start putting some part-time firefighters here during the day? Because we have a call during the day and the engine is leaving with one person on it. The ambulance is leaving with the two. But it went today, this morning. The brush truck went to a medical call with one person. The volunteers are dwindling to the point to where I changed the bylaws. We had our second reading yesterday at our business meeting, that if they don't make at least 15% of the calls or spend 36 hours a month here, basically on call at the station, we're gonna start removing people. Because I'm trying to force them to stay active. The state, and another budget question, the state passed that law that says car and clothing allowance goes to $250 apiece, and we were at $175. So that's gonna be a place we're gonna have to find some money for, but the volunteers are dwindling everywhere, including here. And I think that's enough said from me anyway.
So we had a brief discussion near the end of last year, and the fire contract was looked at, and help me understand our obligations under that contract once more if you can.
What specifically are
The
you?
financial obligations, and I'm having difficulty remembering.
That's in the truck. It mandates the fire chief's pay, and it says
I got it.
175 car, 175 clothing per person.
Where's it on here? There we go.
There we go.
Again, their fuel is not going any cheaper either, so you get somebody that's living out a little ways, that 175 is not covering their fuel expense.
So is that 35 that I see there, does that correspond to the line item where it says volunteer firefighters at 40?
40, correct. So we've budgeted 40 this year, but the contract amount is only 35.
But keep in mind, you've gotta pay that car and clothing is besides that 35,000.
Correct.
So that makes up that extra money.
Right.
And we may have to move some money there because,
The state says.
yeah, the state has changed the law, and I've questioned some people, and I haven't got a 100% steadfast answer if that law takes effect January or July 1st of this year, which
Which is
doesn't make a lot of
typical.
sense to me because that money's already
Already been
budgeted to
budgeted.
pay this year, was budgeted last year. But,
But typically the laws take effect on July 1st
and so
when the
that would
state
have to
implements
be,
them.
our firefighters would be paid that in December.
It's not that there's a slush fund, it's there for that reason.
Yeah.
Any other questions on budget? Trustee update.
So the insurance line item, our workers' compensation last year for 2025 was $3,579 for the policy for the year. And in 2026, it is $8,293. That's a different paper, Judy. This is just me updating you that is part of the reason why we are increasing that line item is the things like the malpractice insurance, workers' comp insurance, everything is going up. Nothing is getting cheaper. So I wanted to let you all know that. Technically, it's above the 5,000 threshold, so I'm bringing it to you all. And then I've got the fund breakdown of what we've spent so far this year. Let's back up over here.
Is that the small print thing?
Yeah,
Found that if I use my camera and zoom in with my camera on my phone, I can see it. Oh, that's better yet, too.
Yes. That's why she always puts it on the board for us.
so our personal services line item, we are at $86,678.39. Overtime, we have not spent anything out of that line item. The payroll taxes, okay, this is where it gets convoluted, guys. Because when I am paying the payroll taxes, so for instance, the federal taxes, FICA, Social Security, Medicare, I'm paying both the employer and the employee portion because I'm paying that on behalf of the employee. But when we've budgeted for it, we've budgeted it out of the personal services line item. But when I'm paying it, I'm putting it on the payroll tax line item. So it looks like we're running short on the payroll tax line item because of that. I am going to be completely candid and say I do not want to take the time, the effort, the energy to figure out what the employee portion and the employer portion is to correctly divvy that out. So I just figure at the end of the year, we will do a line item appropriation from payroll over to taxes and handle it that way. So from the payroll taxes line item, we've paid $26,163.88. Nothing has come out of volunteer firefighters as of today. Volunteer officers, that would be the fire chief's pay, is at $2,942.70 so far this year. HSA funding is at $4,901.35. PERF, this is their pension that we set up for them through the state, $4,556.62. Fuel, $3,685.86. Office supplies, $779.54. Communication, $1,914. That is the dispatch fees that we pay to the county. Medical supplies, again, that is going to be completely eaten up by the time I pay what is sitting in my office, but currently we're at $1,798.72. Station maintenance supplies, $869.53. Professional services, these are the ALS assists. We are at $1,800. Insurance, we've paid $12,735.63. That has only been the malpractice, for the EMTs. That is what that amount is. And that is both of them combined, because when we received the invoice from NFP, they had forgotten to add some additional fees to it that were supposed to have been on there originally, so I got a separate invoice for that. The utilities, we're at $6,725.27. Again, that's part of the reason why we ended up bumping that up a little bit for next year's budget, because we're burning through that pretty quickly. Maintenance contracts, we've paid nothing so far this year. Repairs and maintenance, $4,977.78. Training, $457.19. So total, as of today, we have spent $160,986.46. That is 20% of the budget. And we are at 37.8% of the year has passed. Questions about any of those line items?
I have none.
Go back to the fuel, just let's look at that. So that's through, that would probably lag a month,
No, this is a payment that I just made yesterday.
okay.
But that was only a 2-week payment.
Yes, that was for a 2-week period.
Good.
Because I had just made a payment at the end of April, the $896.39. Good point, thank you, Chad.
I was just
Yeah.
asking because I thought that's.
Yeah, that would be right,
Because fuel prices really didn't go
yeah.
that high until approximately 3 weeks ago, 4
Yeah.
weeks ago. I don't think it's been quite 4 weeks, but
So your payroll taxes, if
Yes,
you're not able to tell which is which portion, you should be able to run a report that shows the total contributions by employee.
it does. It's going to get convoluted on the spreadsheet if I start adding in
Okay.
payroll taxes on
Okay.
there as well.
Okay,
So, I mean, candidly, everything falls under the same general category of personal services. Taxes falls into there. We just break it down further on the spreadsheet. And yes, I do get that report that says, okay, Chad's portion is this,
Right.
and Katie's portion is this, and I just don't want to have to, it's just asking for more issues with numbers being transposed and it,
sure.
yeah.
Anything else on trustee update?
I don't, Chad did give you guys a printout of his administrative work hours. And that was for the month of April. No, that'll be a township thing. So no, I think that that is all that I have.
I have two of them, I must have grabbed yours, sorry.
Steve does share. Okay.
Two questions. I guess one is the fire station report that Chad also provided, the number of calls, what the calls were. You guys have any questions about those? We're at 168, and that is for the end of April. We were at 38.
we're pushing 200 right now.
Yeah, we're almost up to 200 for the year as of today. So
194, 195, something like that.
I remember some discussion, and I don't remember the outcome without going back through the minutes. If a patient does not survive and we do not transport, so dispatch does a full arrest, they're at home, how do you guys wanna handle that bill?
We went through the minutes to try to find that, went from the discussion about the billing when we set up all the fees, and it wasn't in the minutes, so I'm not.
I thought we agreed we was not going to bill that, because it's just like if you showed, when you guys showed up for, down here at the church, that's a one-time deal, and those,
So I know we talked about one free lift assist a month, but I know there was some discussion, the ambulance service never used to bill those, the full arrest that they don't transport for. And so I know that was discussed, but I know it was also discussed that that's one of our most expensive calls to go on. So I just wanted to confirm that we couldn't find it in the minutes. I know that it's been discussed and talked about. I don't know if there wasn't a decision made, or maybe we missed it in the minutes that we were looking for, but, so I guess I'm looking for some guidance. We had
Most
one.
expensive?
Well, so you're looking at minimum set of defib pads, anywhere from 50 to 60 bucks a set.
Well, yeah, just for a BLS supply, you're looking at $50 for them, you're looking at $35 to $40 for airway, and ambu bags, probably 25 at this point.
You're probably at
So you're
$100
probably
worth of equipment.
Somewhere between $100 to $150 worth of supplies that were used.
Will Medicare pay if you don't transport?
Probably not.
And I think that we've had 2 of those this year that I can remember.
Yeah, possibly, I don't remember. The years,
So
all the stuff's
Yeah.
written together.
my personal opinion is, yep, we came in and raised everybody's taxes, so we could have people here, and I get it, it's your most expensive, supply call, but I'm just not in favor of billing that.
And that's perfectly
fine.
fine.
We're just looking for,
That's my sense, we have, 4 other people on the board, so
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
all those in favor, signify by saying yea.
Okay.
I showed this picture to the township board at the last meeting, and I didn't get it to the fire territory board. The garage fire we had that was really close to our house. And mainly, and I know Roger, you understand this, but I showed this to the township board at the last meeting. The paid crew took the tanker, Chad took the tanker, the EMT took the ambulance, and it was not too far from my house, I happened to meet them there. But our system is working. So we were able to do that with 2 firefighters, me on scene and then an ambulance, and we probably saved that house from burning down. So just wanted you guys to know that our system, our plan is being successful.
And those are the good ones to critique.
Yeah. Yep. So I know there was a lot of discussion, well, can 2 firefighters do anything? Yes, they can, so I think that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Public comment, limited to 2 minutes per person.
anything you'd like to add, sir?
No, not this time.
Okay.
All right,
Let the minutes reflect that we've identified the next meeting, and I'll include that.
thank you. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying yea. Meeting adjourned.